Hello everyone, welcome back to a much needed update for the Dan vs. Fanbase channel. I'm your host and producer, M95, and I'm here to tell you about the latest happenings in the Dan vs. community. So first things first, we want to give a big shout out to those who gave at least a watch to our last video in regards to the Media Mementos situation. As far as it seems now, YouTube has dropped the charges. However, as stated in their video talking about it, this was only a battle that was won and unfortunately, not the war.
YouTube gave everything that they took from us back, minus the ad revenue that we lost over the last few days, which is fine, you know. As long as we're not operating at a loss, we should be okay. And we're not. But they're not gonna stop with this nightmarish treatment against all these users and creators, so the fight's gonna keep going on.
Despite this, we're still happy to hear the news from Media Mementos, and we're glad that for the time being, YouTube is actually being rational about something. Anyways though, founder of the original Dan vs. Fanbase project, Captain Jerk, is now back after his big break. For those who don't know, Captain Jerk is a fellow producer and a colleague of mine who helps contribute to the channel and many other things in the Dan vs. community. He was the one that originally started the Dan vs. Fanbase channel a while ago, and after taking a long break from the internet for mental health reasons, he's back in the helm now writing for videos that are planned to be released on the Dan vs. Fanbase channel. Speaking of which, there actually is a video that's in production right now that has been planned for a while, and it has to do with the Dan vs. forums, which, by the way, you should check those out. They're great. I highly encourage you to give the forum a visit. As you will hear in the future video that's planned, forums genuinely are a good backbone to have in any kind of fandom. But I'll leave the rest of the informative information when the video is ready to go. Anyways, moving on. In Fanbase news, we have a nice little project that's been started by a user who goes by the name Mitt on the Dan vs. Discord. And what this project is basically a reanimated project of the Dan vs. the Telemarketer episode. The project is called Dan vs. Remade, and it was created with the intention to bring animators and artists alike to remake an entire episode of Dan vs. It's a genuinely neat concept, for there have been many reanimated projects for a lot of cartoons in general, but there hasn't been quite a project for Dan vs. So this is a cool thing, and the best part about it, it's still open. As of recording this right now, there's about 28 parts left out of the 84 that have been split between artists and animators. So, needless to say, if you're interested in contributing to this great project, visit the Discord link below and claim your part now while you can. You'll find out all the rules and the info you need when you join the server. So come on down. Have this guy be a part of your dreams once more.
I'm Dan.
Moving onward.
Wow!
The world of Dan vs. has found itself in the world of VRChat. That's right, you can actually visit Dan's wonderful and luxurious apartment in the realm of VRChat. But it doesn't just end there. There's also avatars. You ever wanted to be Dan in VRChat? Well, now you can. You ever wanted to be Chris in VRChat and eat as much as you want in any VR restaurant that you could possibly visit? Well, now you can! You ever wanted to be Elise and work in a shadowy quasi-government organization, terminating targets on the spot? Purely in VRChat, of course, while also maintaining your status as Chris's hot, genius wife? I'm not kidding, that's how the Dan vs. DVD describes it. Well, now you can! Tired of this bit yet? Yeah, me too. Genuinely though, you can give it a visit. Links to the world will be provided in the description, and you can visit it anytime you want. At this current time, it's still in the experimental section because not a lot of people have given it quite a visit yet, so I encourage you to visit it. Speaking as the developer myself, you will be able to see future updates, including Chris and Elise's house, the call center where the imposter worked at, pretty much anything that's recognizable from the show. So keep a lookout and make sure to favorite it. We have an update for the Fanwork Awards show from last year. As you may or may not know, the Fanwork Awards show for 2022 has been in development hell. Things have been slow, but for good reason. Unfortunately, there wasn't a lot of time and dedication put aside for the project, and as a result, the Fanwork Awards for 2023 have sadly not been put into action. However, as we're still currently trying to wrap up Fanwork Awards 2022, we're actually in the midst of something pertaining to the show that you just might be interested in. Which leads us to our last topic. That's right. the status of the show itself. By far the most important part of this video, the show has been kept in kind of a limbo for a while as people are still urged to keep activity as well as morale as high as people can manage. Unfortunately, there's not super big news. However, for a while now, I've been in contact with the show's creators Dan Mandel and Chris Pearson, and they've told me they're cooking up something right now related to the actual Dan vs. story. Now, they're a little cagey about the details, but I assure you, the plans that are being discussed are very important to the show's future. The best I can tell you to do now, really, is just help support Dan. Dan Mandel, one of the creators of the show, for a bit now has had his own store where you can actually buy a jerk shirt, a delicious revenge shirt, as well as a Dan. Okay, I'm sorry. This is not a Dan vs. shirt. In fact, this is not a Dan vs. shop. No, it can't be. I don't know about you, but this is clearly something else. In all seriousness though, if you'd like to support one of the creators of the show, feel free to give these shops a visit, and just know that your purchase is going towards a good thing. The creator of Dan vs. that is. That's it for today, and as much as I'd like to go into details about potential project ideas for this channel and anything else, I just wanted to get this out because I know that the channel has been basically in a radio silence type state right now. But yeah, that is the month of March 2024 for the Dan vs. Fanbase. I am M95 and I will see you next time. Goodbye. If you like this video and you want more Dan vs. related content, be sure to press that notification bell and give this video a like. Remember to also spread around hashtag Dan vs. Revival, as we're in the process of trying to get the show back. Thank you and see you next time.